Hey everyone, Nubkeks here, and the pre-patch for Shadowlands is arriving on the live servers for World of Warcraft in the next day or two, depending on where you live. So in this video, I'm going to guide you through everything that you need to know and give you some tips along the way for the things that I think you should be focusing on in the pre-patch. If you're interested in things like the class changes and what's coming new in Shadowlands itself, do check out the rest of the channel. I've got lots and lots of videos and loads more to come as well, covering all of that. And although I haven't really been streaming at all recently, I think I might hop on and actually do some streaming on Wednesday when the pre-patch arrives for me over in Europe. All the different parts of this guide should be timestamped in the description and in the timeline of the video. But before we dive into that, I want to take a minute to talk to you about this month's sponsor for the channel. For the month of October, we're once again sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. I'm personally delighted to do a sponsorship for Raid again. I've been playing the game quite a bit since we covered it last month. I'm just running it on the side on my second monitor while I'm editing up videos or just recording some footage. Alright, in this video, let's open up a few shards and see what we get. Okay, first up we have Wyvern Bane. Okay, Hobble Pierce, attack one enemy, decrease their speed, decrease their turn meter, or put a hit point burn? Okay, very cool. She is a boss killing champion. Nice. Next up we have Sorceress. Part of the Undead Hordes. That actually looks well. Attacks one enemy, decrease speed. Okay. Place an extra hit potentially 3 times at random and can decrease defense. Alright. Really good single target damage out of her as well. And then finally, let's check out Spikehead. What a name. He knows what he wants. Alright. Gonna attack an enemy. We can buff his attack by 50%? Okay. Attack an enemy 3 times and increase ally defense. Okay. Spikehead, I like you. You know what's up. There's constantly new champions being added to the game as well, and big shout out to Raid for giving us this sneak peek video of some of the concept art for some upcoming champions. I think they look absolutely incredible. So go ahead and download the game if you're interested. There's links in the description. You're going to get 100,000 free silver and a free champion as well. This is the champion you're going to get, Grumbler. He's part of the dwarf faction, and yeah, he's heavily armored and ready to take some punishment. To get your rewards in game, go to your inbox icon up here in the corner, and you'll find those rewards there. They'll only last for 30 days though, so make sure to grab them quick. Alright guys, let's get back into the video. Now, before we talk about the good news, let's actually talk about the bad news. What is going away in the pre-patch? What are you no longer going to be able to get? Well, there's a few things. First of all, the ahead of the curve and cutting edge achievements for beating N'Zoth on either heroic or mythic difficulty respectively are going away in the pre-patch. However, you can still earn your uncorrupted Voidwing mount for beating him on heroic difficulty. So make sure to grab that during the pre-patch if you haven't already. The achievement Mad World from Horrific Visions is also being removed. This is where you would have to complete all of the objectives in both of the visions while not in a party and with all Faceless masks active. That gives you the title, the Faceless one. That is also no longer obtainable. Keystone Master Season 4 from Mythic plus Dungeons, which would give you the Awakened Mind Borer mount for completing all dungeons at plus 15. Key level are no longer available as well. The PvP season has ended, so PvP rewards, including the Elite PvP sets, are gone too. And the Brawlers Guild is also now closed until some undefined time in Shadowlands. The Hertz Locker achievement for beating Mythic Mechagon with 0 deaths across your entire party in a single run is being disabled. And finally, the Reigns of the Mighty Caravan Brutosaur is no longer available to purchase for 5 million gold off of vendors, but is instead now available on the black market auction house if you're lucky. And the first big thing to talk about is, of course, the pre-expansion launch event. Now, we don't know exactly when this is going to kick off. They say shortly after the pre-patch hits, so we don't know when that is. Unfortunately, this is currently disabled on the public test realm, so I can't show you any gameplay of the actual event, but we'll fly around Icecrown to kind of set the tone, set the theme, and I'll talk you through then the 3 key points that you need to know about what is going to be happening during this event and what you should be doing. But there are 3 aspects of this that are important and that you need to know. The first one is that there is going to be a new Scourge invasion. People are going to be able to turn into zombies in the capital cities of Stormwind and Orgrimmar, attack other players and turn them into zombies. This is a repeat of the original Scourge invasions from back in Wrath of the Lich King and for the launch of Naxxramas in Classic. And it is worth pointing out that although these are very iconic events, they were disabled early in the past, I believe, because people found them very annoying and disruptive. So we'll have to see. It's quite likely, I think, that these are not going to be up all the time. No rewards tied into this. This is just something for fun. The second thing you need to know about is the Death Rising quest line. This is going to be a story quest leading into the start of the Shadowlands, and there's actually going to be 3 different weeks of questing tied into this that are going to unlock one by one. Again, at time of recording, I don't know when this is going to actually start kicking off, but with the pre-patch going to be lasting for, I would guess, 1 to 2 months, you are going to have more than enough time to blast through these quests. And the third most important thing you need to know about is that during the second week of this pre-patch event, you're going to unlock a lot of dailies over in Icecrown, and these dailies are going to reward Argent Commendations. You'll also get a few Argent Commendations from doing the quests themselves. You should be able to get about 17 Argent Commendations per day of doing the dailies, and there are Quartermasters where you can turn in these commendations to get some gear. It's going to cost you a total of 170 Argent Commendations to buy everything that they have, so that's about 10 days or less of doing these dailies every single day, so not too bad. And this catch-up gear is about as powerful as what you would get from the normal Nyalotha raid, which is the current raid tier in patch 8.3. So not that useful if you're geared in heroic or mythic gear, but if you are a returning player or if you're getting an alt ready for Shadowlands, this is going to be very, very powerful gear to give you a good start in the Shadowlands and give you a good feel for how powerful your spec and class is and how well it's playing in the pre-patch event. Perhaps even more exciting than that, though, is that there is more stuff happening in Icecrown. The most important thing I want to point out in this video is that there are a whole bunch of bosses. Yes, lots and lots of bosses that are roaming around. You'll see them on your map whenever they are active, and these bosses will also be dropping item level 100 gear, which is wonderful catch-up gear. They also drop some kind of interesting and fun little bonus drops as well. One particular one to highlight is the Papa's Mint Condition bag, which is a 34 slot bag. So there's some pretty great stuff out there dropping from these rares, and they're certainly going to be worth hunting down in Icecrown. There's also a weekly world boss coming with this event. You'll figure out who it is and where you fight them during the quest line, so I'm not going to spoil it here. But yeah, make sure to go and kill that boss once you've killed him the first time, every single week after that for some extra gear as well. Perhaps the biggest draw of the Shadowlands pre-patch, though, are the Shadowlands class changes. Yes, that's right. All of the classes, all of the specs in the game have most of the updates they're going to be getting in Shadowlands active in the pre-patch. Of course, there are some abilities, you'll find them in your spellbook, which are going to unlock as you level up, so you won't be able to use those. And of course, Shadowlands specific things, such as Covenant abilities, Shadowlands legendaries, conduits, etc., aren't going to be available either. Of course, you can find all info on those in the video series I've done on every single spec on the channel. It is worth noting that Azerite armor is working in the pre-patch. Essences, which of course came from patch 8.2, are working as well, but the corruption effects from patch 8.3 have been disabled. Just dive in, test out your new rotations, test out your new abilities, see what has been unpruned, just have a good time. It's not going to be perfectly balanced, and that's okay. The goal really of pre-patch is to figure out, well, what class you enjoy playing and what class you want to main in the Shadowlands. So do take this opportunity, try out a bunch of different classes, and finalize your decision. Now is the time to do it, so get going. Another huge change you're gonna see immediately when you go into the pre-patch are the item and level squishes and the leveling revamps. As of the pre-patch, all levels are being squished down, so instead of a max level of 120 at the end of BFA, we're going to be reduced to a max level of 50 at the end of BFA, and that of course will go up to 60 in Shadowlands itself. On top of this, the item levels of most items have been squashed down as well, plus the stats on them. So although your relative power is still the same, the numbers that you're going to see are going to be significantly smaller, and I think it's actually a pretty good change. It's a lot easier to understand how powerful your abilities are and how much damage you're actually doing with these smaller numbers. So yeah, I think it's a great change. Going alongside this level squish, we also have a huge revamp to leveling in World of Warcraft. It's been one of the, let's be honest, worst features in the game for quite a while, and it has been massively, massively improved. There is a new starting zone called Exile's Reach. This is for players about level 1 to 8 or 10-ish, depending on how much you do in there. And this is the new starting zone for all basic races and characters in the game now, although you can choose to do your races default leveling experience if you want to, although some of them are, you know, they're quite old and dated, but the nostalgia trip can be worth it if you like. One of the big perks of this new Exiles Reach zone is that there's a bunch of new weapon models that you can collect from doing the quests in there. These are very, very high resolution models of very simple weapons. So if you're like me and don't always enjoy being in really fancy armor, you like a more minimalistic style, it's definitely worth playing through this once. I mean, it's fun by itself. It is quite fun to play through and check out the zone, but do go there and pick up those weapons. They look awesome, and I expect I'll be using those transmogs a lot myself. At the end of the zone, you'll even check out a dungeon and see what dungeons are like in the game. It auto-populates the dungeon with friendly NPCs to help out in your party. When I played through, they sat AFK at the entrance and refused to help, which I thought was a bold move on Blizzard's part, really, introducing you to the harsh and cruel world of pugging dungeons in World of Warcraft. No, it's most likely a bug, and I'm sure it'll work just fine when you guys actually play through it. Once you finish the new starting zone, or the old starting zone if you so choose, or if you create a Demon Hunter or Death Knight who now start at level 8, or an allied race which start at level 10, you will then go into Chromie time. Simply go speak to Chromie outside of your faction's embassy. That's in Stormwind or Orgrimmar for Alliance or Horde respectively, and she will give you access to time-walking campaigns in Chromie time, where you can level through one of the previous expansions. In other words, if you want to level through Cataclysm from levels 10 to 50, go choose Cataclysm. If you want to level through Warlords of Draenor, choose Warlords of Draenor. Everything is scaled down, everything is retuned, and you can level entirely through an expansion in one go. Which expansion should you choose? Well, right now, it seems from initial testing that Warlords of Draenor, the Iron Horde, is by far the fastest expansion leveling time. It's going to take you only 12 hours, roughly, to play through from level 10 to 50. Slightly slower than that is Legion, which is going to take 14 hours. Battle for Azeroth and Mists of Pandaria are going to take you 16 hours each. After that, things get quite a bit slower. Cataclysm is going to take you about 20 hours. And then for those people who are suckers for punishment, Wrath of the Lich King and the Burning Crusade are going to take you 24 hours to level through. That is twice as slow as Warlords of Draenor, based off of initial testing. Now, that might get tuned up later, but I mean, how many of your alts have already gone to die in the horrible leveling of TBC and Wrath? Many of mine have, many of mine. So if you want to relive that experience, they are there. In a way, I'm going to be cruel here. I'm going to say that in a way, I think Blizzard even leaves them being slower just to, you know, make you appreciate the newer expansions and their new leveling design more, right? Sort of an anti-rose tinted goggle thing. If you're a fan of allied races and you're curious about leveling an allied race during the pre-patch, well, good news, allied races are an awful lot easier to get now. They only require you to finish the quest line that is associated with their faction. No longer need to grind out to Exalted or do any of that nonsense, so much, much easier. For Void Elves and the Lightforged Draenei, they're both unlocked with the same achievement, You Are Now Prepared, which simply requires you to complete the story campaign on Argus. So a little bit is required to get into this campaign. This is at the end of Legion, but yeah, check out a guide on how to do that. It's not going to take you too long. Insurrection is the achievement required for the Nightborn. This one is a little bit trickier. You have to complete all of the initial Suramar storylines. That takes quite a while. I'd recommend looking up a guide on how to progress through that if you're not familiar with it. High Mountain Tauren require the achievement Ain't No Mountain High Enough. This one's very, very easy. Simply complete the quest lines in High Mountain. So you can do that while you're leveling a different character by going into Legion Time Walking with Chromie. So fantastic. The Dark Iron Dwarves for Alliance or the Maghar Orc for the Horde are unlocked by doing the Ready for War achievement for the respective factions, which is simply doing the war campaign. Again, you'll complete a lot of this war campaign simply while leveling up in BFA, so I recommend doing that and just following the war campaign quest lines. You're going to get them. They're at the top of your quest log, so they're easy to follow. Simply keep following those. Doesn't take an awfully long time, and you will unlock these factions. For Zandalari Trolls or Kultirans for the Horde or Alliance respectively, you have to complete the Tides of Vengeance campaign, which is the 8.1 war campaign continuation. And you also, I do believe, have to complete the A Nation United or Zandalar Forever achievements, which require you to do all of the main storylines and all of the main zones of the BFA expansion, plus of course, doing some of the finish up story quests that come when you finish those main zones. So that will definitely take you a little bit more time. Again, this is something that you will get from leveling up, though, through BFA. You'll get it that way. Finally then, for Mechagon, this one gets a little bit tougher. You have to complete the Mechagonian threat, which requires completing the Mechagon storyline. So you can unlock that once you are max level in Kultiris. Or on the Horde side, unlocking the Volpera is an awful lot easier. You simply need to complete Secrets in the Sand, which is doing all parts of the Vol'dun storyline. So that's actually very simple. You'll pick that one up on the way to unlocking Zandalari Trolls. So nice, simple there. And going alongside all of these new leveling perks, we of course have a whole bunch of new character customization options, with tons of options added for most of the races in the game. Not so much those allied races, unfortunately, but the base races certainly have lots and lots there. So you can look like a homeless night elf if you want to, and Taurens can have flowers in their hair. Lots of cool stuff. You can access all of these new character customization options through the character creation screen, of course, or just go to your local barber, who can now also give you a sex change. The human faction, of course, did the best out of all of this. They have a mountain of new options. You can now make your character be black, be Asian, be anything you want. Almost no matter who you are in real life now, you can finally feel properly represented in World of Warcraft. Unless you're a barber, in which case you are grossly misrepresented and it's only getting worse. There's a bunch of other little changes coming as well. So druids, for example, can change individually each of their shapeshift forms in the barbershop to really customize how they look. Everyone is going to be able to transmog their artifact appearances across all of their specs in the game. So yeah, as a paladin, for example, a retribution paladin is now going to be able to use the old two-handed mace transmogs from the Holy Paladin artifact from Legion. So that is really, really cool. You're also going to be able to transmog the main hand and off hand of artifact appearances separately and mix and match them with other transmogs if you wish. And wonderful news, wands are finally able to be transmogged into one-handed weapons, so you're no longer stuck with some horrible old wand transmog on your mage. You can turn that into a dagger or a sword, so that is good news too. There's a few updated graphic options coming, like ray tracing, which as of right now simply lowers your frame rate by about half for almost no tangible benefit. Unicorn mounts, like the prestigious Courser series you get from Honor level, or mounts that look like Lucid Nightmare, if you're familiar with that one, are going to be able to fly in the Shadowlands Pre-Patch, so enjoy that for a month or two before we go into the Shadowlands zones and can't fly anymore. And of course, battle pets have seen a bunch of reworks and rebalancing to really nerf down, you know, the previous strategies of things like, you know, Icky with Black Claw Flock, that sort of thing. That has been nerfed down an awful lot. So yeah, kind of a big shake up to battle pets. I actually really like battle pets in the game. I've played it a fair bit, so I'm going to be diving back into that and figuring out what's actually going to work. And if you are a new player, or you are someone who is kind of hard, there is a new Newcomer chat feature coming, which I think is a wonderful addition, where new players up to level 20 are going to have access to Newcomer chat, where they're going to be able to, you know, ask questions of experienced mentor players and get some guidance. I think it's fantastic, because it's a pretty intimidating game for new players. If you want to be a mentor, you have to obviously not have any, you know, strikes against your account for toxicity or anything like that. You need to be max level, have completed 3,000 quests, and have at least 2 of the following achievements: Terrific Trio, Rival, Battle for Azeroth Season 4, Battle for Azeroth Keystone Conqueror Season 4, The Waking Dream, or We Have the Technology. So essentially, I mean, if you're an active player in Season 4 of BFA, you should have at least 2 of those, most likely. So yeah, go speak to a guide recruiter and become a guide and help out those new players. If you are a Mythic Plus aficionado, you're going to notice some pretty nice tweaks actually to the Keystone affixes during this sort of pre-patch season, and of course going into Shadowlands. Bursting is now dispellable. It's a magic debuff and you can dispel it, so that will certainly help out some healers, especially priests, with the mass dispel. And it also will do flat damage instead of doing max HP percentage damage. Volcanic is going to do an awful lot less damage than before, but it will now knock players that are hit up into the air, and you will often take falling damage as well. Sanguine on the floor now lasts for 1/3 as long. Used to last for 60 seconds, now lasts for only 20 seconds, so much less of a hassle to play around. There's a great change for Grievous, which was an absolute nightmare to heal for several healing specs. Non-periodic heals, so direct heals, are going to now remove 1 stack of Grievous. That really, really helps, and it also is going to be doing flat damage instead of a percentage of your max hit points per tick. And finally, explosive orbs are now going to spawn further away from monsters, so they're not going to be hidden in hitboxes. They're going to have less health from before, and they'll play a nice little sound effect when you defeat them to make it feel good for dealing with explosive properly. There are some nice UI changes as well. You can now place waypoints on your map and even share those waypoints to other players through chat commands. So, you know, help your teammates find the entrances to dungeons or find specific NPCs, certain vendors. You can do that, which is really, really cool. Quests now have new icons, right? They have new icons. So campaign quests have a different icon and are going to be easier to tell apart from normal side quests in your quest log. And then finally, there's a new navigational marker that appears on screen to help you find where you need to go for your quest destination. It's in 3D, so this really helps with things like, you know, I don't know, you go into like a castle and you've got to find a dude in the castle and you don't know which floor he's on. Well, now you can actually see that quest marker in the world in 3D space and find out where they are. So that is a wonderful change as well. So there you are, everyone. They are, well, probably not all, but certainly most of the changes coming in the pre-patch for Shadowlands. I will have the patch notes plus a couple of, I think, handy resources linked in the description down below. So do go check those out if you're interested in getting even more details. To sum up, my main advice though would certainly be to go check out the pre-launch event questline. Once that goes live, do some of those world bosses, get some of that gear if your characters need it to prepare you, but most importantly, test out the classes, get a feel for how they're playing, and decide on your main for Shadowlands. That is, I think, the most important thing. And yeah, just get yourself nicely set for Shadowlands. It's going to be a great time. Again, there are loads of videos on Shadowlands on the channel here already, and I'm going to be doing way more in the future too. So yeah, make sure to subscribe, hang out, check them out, and until next time, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.